Franz Spunda was an Austrian esoteric fiction writer, born in 1890 in Olomouc in then Bohemia, the son of a master tailor at the Prince-Bishoprical Seminar at Olomouc. He studied at a German-language gymnasium at Olomouc and then went on to study at Vienna, receiving a doctorate in philosophy in 1913. After the outbreak of World War I, he volunteered for service, serving as an X-ray assistant and then seeing active service at Serbia and Polish-Ukrainian Galicia. He was released from service in 1917 due to health reasons and was placed in the German-language gymnasium at Ostrava, and in 1918 he was transferred to the Staatsrealgymnasium in Vienna. He began publishing his prose in 1921 with Der Gelbe und der Weiße Papst, or The Yellow and the White Pope. In 1924, following an invitation from poet Theodor Deubler, Spunda travelled to Greece. He travelled to Greece about 15 times in total, usually with limited means and on foot, as he would also travel through Asia Minor and North Africa. In 1925, he married his first wife, Desiree Heinrich. In 1932, he joined the NSDAP. Possibly related is the fact that in 1939 he would write a play concerning the Sudetenland, while in 1941 he would be interrogated by the Gestapo as a result of the flight of Rudolf Hess. Following the end of the Second World War, he was removed from his position as a teacher. In 1946, his first wife died following a lengthy illness. The limitations imposed on him as a writer as the result of his involvement with the NSDAP were lifted in 1948 by Austrian President Karl Renner. In 1955, he married his second wife, gymnasium teacher Dr. Maria Josefa Hecht, who would pass away from cancer in 1960. Franz Spunda died in 1963 in Vienna shortly following his last visit to Greece. Baphomet, ein alchemistischer Roman, an alchemical romance, was one of his early novels, published in 1928, proving popular enough to see several new releases since, the latest being the 2007 Festa edition. The novel starts out on a train, where the protagonist, Vincent Lascari, is on his way to Florence, to claim an inheritance for himself and his brother, as a distant relative of a childless Marquess who died recently. Also on the train is a certain Mafalda Rossi, a young woman who Vincente instantly falls for but who is determined to join a convent. Initially, Vincent tries to convince her to leave the confines of the convent, but there is more afoot, as it appears the convent is used by the local branch of the Templar organization for its own nefarious purposes. The organization had in fact sent a certain Leftini to aid in the old Marquess's alchemical experiments, who proceeded to kill the Marquess after he had uncovered a potent magical substance, which the Templars, however, were not able to obtain. Vincent manages to find it and keeps it for his own person, refusing to hand it over to the Catholic Church, despite the entreaties of one of his friends. But then the novel proceeds to stand about in place, endlessly waffling about the protagonist and his love interest finding reasons for not coming together, with an aside of endless disputations about astral fire, astrological signs, the influence of the planets, etc. The story is slowly building up to a confrontation with the Templars from the outset, but then Leftini, the man who murdered the Marquess and tried to murder the protagonist, leaves Florence and comes back no longer being an antagonist after having had a rather embarrassingly quick spiritual turnaround. So now the novel proceeds to build up how he will have to physically face the terrible gaze of the living Baphomet, something considered quite lethal, and he just doesn't go there and no one among the Templars makes him. Worse, towards the end, after having united with the Mafalda, who was kept away from him by one of the Templar agents, Vincent chooses not to go to the Templar Council to confront them, like he promised he would, in order to confront and disarm Baphomet, And instead, this duty falls on a tertiary character introduced more than 3/4 into the book while Vincente and Mafalda get married. In the end, said new character comes back to the festivities and tells the protagonist how the main antagonist and one of the Templar leaders got killed at said council off-screen, but chooses not to actually give any details because he is bound by an oath of secrecy. Yes, Spunda actually had the antagonist of the entire novel killed off-screen, his demise only witnessed by a tertiary character who even refuses to say what actually happened because he's bound by an oath of secrecy to the Pope.